Buckle up. March is bringing in some holy shifts with eclipse season. So if you are feeling like big changes in the winds, I think you're onto something. Let's talk about what this means for you and the world around you. The first eclipse we're having is on March 14th. It is a lunar eclipse in Virgo. This is closing out the last 6-month cycle that was started last September 2nd of 2024 with that new moon in Virgo. So think back to what was going on around that time frame and how things have culminated since then. This is going to be a completion of that cycle. And when we're talking about Virgo, we're talking about healthcare issues, we're talking about order, we're talking about cleanliness. But notice now that the nodes shifted. We are looking at this culmination occurring with the South Node in Virgo. So this is not subtle one bit. This is a major purge, a major release of things having to do with what needs to be fixed because it's broken, what needs to be healed because maybe it is sick and toxic, and what is out of order. And this also has a lot to do with things going on with not only healthcare, but the economy. So we're already seeing it, but expect to see more of it, that, there's going to be continued debates around healthcare, workers, particularly, workers that are employed by the government, the everyday necessary workers like the police officers, the fire departments, the medical people, food service, housing, things like that. We could see some disruption with service. We could also see some revelations coming out as well. And those revelations might have to do with scandals, secrets, exposures coming to light. And again, it's quite dramatic with the South Node right there on it. That is telling us we've got to purge this from us, whatever it is that is coming to culmination in Virgo. On a more personal level, we could be looking at some serious wake-up calls over what is not working. Or maybe it's no longer working. And, on a relational level, this might have to do with toxic relationships, and you could bring it right down to things going on within, your family, with your day-to-day life, the people that you're interacting with on the day-to-day, but it could also have to do with workplace issues. I think collectively, whether we put it on the micro or macro level, this is an eclipse that is making us take a closer look at what's not working, no longer working, what needs to be cleaned up and put back in order. And I can't say it's going to be, the greatest experience, but I think once we purge out whatever the energy is asking us to, we will all be better off for it. And some people are not going to find this to be a picnic because unfortunately what's going to happen is they're going to realize that maybe some structures that they relied upon or wanted to rely upon are actually not that solid anymore. And maybe if they wanted to turn a blind eye to it, it's just going to become impossible to do that. Now, the second eclipse that is occurring is happening in the sign of Aries 2 weeks after the first one, and that's going to be on March 29th. So, from beginning to end, this entire month is a wild ride, and in Aries, no exception there. I mean, we're looking at a brand new cycle, and people making some very bold moves. And that first eclipse in Virgo is about exposure and release and endings and culmination, whereas this solar eclipse in Aries is about new beginnings and action. The good news about the solar eclipse in Aries is that it's about exciting new beginnings. The bad news is it's probably going to bring with it a lot of conflict. Some of the main predictions I want to make for this 6-month cycle that's opening up under Aries is that we're probably going to see some key shifts in leadership, in government, and maybe even having to do with our nation's identity. We're kind of already seeing that. I mean, think about what went down last week, which was, the last week of February, and we had Zelensky coming in and had this, blow up meeting with Trump and Vance, and he was denied funding, I think for the first time ever. But interestingly, within that same week, Israel got more money for more war. So what exactly is going on? It's going to be new. It's going to be different. A lot of people, the MAGA people included, they're not real happy about that. They want an end to all of this spending, all of this foreign funding of wars, okay? So over the next 6 months, we might see a bit of a power battle coming in with this Aries energy where there's just more global and domestic power struggles happening. And it starts off where, Ukraine gets denied, Israel gets some money, but by the time this comes to completion, 6 months from now, how's that going to look? By the way, we will talk about it. I'll give you a sneak peek into that. On a more personal level, this next 6 months of a solar eclipse in Aries is probably going to light a fire under your ASS to take more initiative in your life. And I think that's a positive thing. People are ready for more control. back in their lives. But we Americans are in the midst of a lot of huge changes, are we not? And it's fiery in Aries. Because think about it, during this 6 months that follows a solar eclipse, Saturn and Neptune are going into Aries, big stuff, big energies. Just put it this way, people are definitely going to be motivated to take power back. And so this is how we come into the next 6 months between spring, March, and fall eclipse season in September. We come in purging out all this Virgoan stuff that I talked to you about, and we come out with a bold, brand new start. But there's a lot of global tension and a lot of big financial changes going on with the debt crises, the economy, possibly banking failures. And who we're in conflict with right now may not be who we're in conflict with 6 months from now. And vice versa. One thing's for sure, things are a-changing, and people want their power back. So if you have been feeling like something huge is coming, I'd be interested to know what you think is going to change over the next 6 months. What do you think is shifting?